Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is Cardboard Coach Neil. I want to talk about eye appeal and this so-called revolution that eye appeal is somehow a new thing. It isn't. That's the bottom line. So I think there are a lot of people that have recently started collecting, maybe in the past few years. And it's nothing to be ashamed of. It just happens to be that way. I've been collecting a while. And like a lot of you out there, I'm not saying that, guys that have been collecting for a longer time know more or anything like that. But a couple things I have recognized since the pandemic. And the pandemic, it seems as if that really opened up the hobby to a lot of different people. So I set up at a card show on a somewhat regular basis. It's a very small show, very local. It's a firehouse show, so you kind of get the idea. And it's decent. It's well attended for its size. It's mostly modern and ultra modern, but there are a number of vintage dealers, myself included, that will set up at times. And I have noticed in the past couple of years that more and more people are getting into the hobby, and more people are asking questions. And I love answering questions if I can. I love giving advice. And I'm not using Coach Neil as a way that I'm coaching about baseball cards. Just so happened I've been a Little League coach for a number of years. Great time of my life, and some of my players still call me Coach Neil. That's why I came up with this nickname. Just wanted to set that straight because I don't want to sound like I'm educating anyone or preaching or coaching. But this whole misconception that eye appeal is a new thing, like I said, it isn't. It has been around even before grading. Nicer looking cards are more desired. I don't care if it's centering or corners or color or registration. The better looking card is going to get more eyes on it. And that has always been the case. Now, enter PSA. Back in the late 90s, it was probably the early 2000s when it really started becoming a thing. When people started submitting comments and the set registry was created. Again, this is 25 years ago. So people wanted that set rating. There's a number of channels that talk about these numbers on their flips, and I completely agree with their context. Numbers to me are not that important. Grading isn't really that important. I honestly, I could grade a card as well as any guy out in Newport Beach or down in Florida. I could. I'm a slab head. I do enjoy PSA and SGC slabs. SGC is better, by the way. They always have been. They've been better at vintage. They're just better. I digress. Getting back to the whole eye appeal thing. People collecting sets. I know a handful of people that collected 1952 through 1955 Redman. And they competed with each other. And, there's nothing wrong with competition, but when it comes to subjectivity like grading, it gets a little bit ridiculous, just in my opinion. One guy was starting to gear more towards mid-grade cards and waiting for cards that look great, because back in the day, the questions you would get on message boards, and I've been a member of a couple different ones. I mean, Net 54 we all know about. There's another one that is somewhat private. But that has always been discussed. This has always been discussed. Eye appeal has always been around. It is nothing new. So don't be fooled, because it's just, better looking cards, that's what you want in your collection. It doesn't matter the grade. But I will address that grading thing. So more and more people started submitting cards. And PSA, yeah, I think they changed the rules. I think they have. I used to submit to sell at these shows a number of 2018, Juan Soto's and Acuna and Trout and Ohtani, to name a few. And I did so just to see if I could make a couple bucks and buy some more vintage cards. And I did okay. I did okay doing that. But I would submit, let's just say, 20 Juan Soto's and 15 Ronald Acuna Juniors, and the same for Ohtani's. I was getting 95% 10s. These are packed fresh. I was opening them, right into a card saver. If it was a refractor, into a soft sleeve, right into a card saver. And I was getting 10s. Handful of 9s. You submit that today, it's going to be 9s, a little bit of 8s and some 7s. Maybe the occasional 10. By the way, this is off topic, has nothing to do with anything. There's no such thing as a PSA 10 or SGC 10, Gem Mint or Pristine, whatever they call it. They're cardboard. It's almost, to me, impossible to get a card that is in perfect condition. There's going to be something. That's just a little rant, okay? But eye appeal, getting back to the subject at hand, has always been a thing. So you have to differentiate eye appeal and pricing because, maybe there is a revolution. I've heard that term recently, an eye appeal revolution. Maybe there is when it comes to pricing. You have to decide if that is going to be something. Am I going to pay recent comps for PSA 4 on this PSA 2 or this SGC 1.5? The SGC 3s are selling for this. Well, if the 1.5 looks nicer and it's something you can live with, and if you are looking for that card, well, you got to make up your own mind because comps are just a guideline. It's not set in stone. Sellers can ask whatever they want. It's what buyers are willing to pay. And I do believe that more and more nicer looking cards are being bought. But I think there's a misconception and there's something that's a little bit off about it. I don't know what it is, but I think sometimes people are buying these cards to flip them thinking they can just say eye appeal and it's going to command whatever the bucks they're looking for. I don't think that's always the case, but I think some people are falling for it. So you got to, take it into your own consideration. What are you willing to pay? Because again, the golden rules in this hobby, and there are two: buy what you like and buy what you can afford. That's all I got for this video, but every video, like every thread on Net54, needs to show a card. I'm not a set guy, as I was talking about the Red Man collectors that I once knew, and just using that as an example. I know some of the guys that were collecting in the high grade and looking for that set rating. They want to be number 1 or number 2 or whatever. They're done. They don't collect anymore. It got too frustrating. I don't know if it was frustration or expense, but the guys that were collecting the lower graded cards, mid-graded cards, they're still doing it. Maybe there's a correlation, maybe not. Anyway, I'm not a set guy, but there was a set I came really close to completing. I was 2 cards short, and I recently picked one of them up. One of the ones I needed. But that's a 1954 Red Heart Carl Erskine. Okay? So having picked this up and then following it with an SGC Richie Ashburn, it got me thinking, I love this set. It's 33 cards, red, blue, and green issues. It's got some good Hall of Famers, a lot of star power. I'm considering doing this set. So that's all I got for now. But hey, listen, John P. Collects, if you're watching, thank you for the shout out. I really do appreciate it. Everyone who's making comments on the videos, I appreciate it as well. And for those of you subscribing, at least I'm not talking to myself. But hopefully this video made sense. It wasn't a rant. I just wanted to kind of set something straight. I've been hearing about eye appeal. It's always been around, okay? And it's never going to go away. I'll see you next time.